I got influenced, I would say, by the different cultural exposure that I got, which allowed me to be more open-minded and to
Mhm.
see the world from a different perspective.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Highlight Her. Before we get into the episode, I invite you to hit the follow button. It helps the show get delivered into your feed and is a free way to support the podcast. Today's featured guest is Urmi Hossain. She's a powerhouse. She speaks multiple languages, has written a book, leads a women's group, and much more. I'm really excited to learn more about her journey and add her to the Highlight Her circle of season 2. Hi, Urmi. Thank you
Hi,
so much for joining us today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. And before we dive into your journey that shows how you got to where you are today, which intrigues me, I have a question. Is there a moment recently where you thought, this is why I do this?
I would say I think of that pretty much every day. And I would say one of the highlight moment was when we had an event for International Women's Day. And the organization that I am part of, which is called Women in Leadership,
Mhm.
we had a brunch to celebrate our chapter. We had a panel session, we had speakers, and we had around 50 women who joined us that day. That was quite a success, and it reminded me about the things that I do and why I do them and why I love doing the things that I do for the community. So I was very happy that that event turned out to be a success, and it gave me the push to keep doing the things that I do.
I bet it made your heart feel good.
That's right.
Yes. So, can you tell our listeners where you're from and where they can find you online? We'll mention it again at the end of the episode, but I just want to give them a chance to get to know you a little bit.
hmm So I'm based in Montreal, Canada. This is where I've been living. And if people want to find out more about the work that I do, they can find me on LinkedIn. It's called Urmi Hossain, or they can just Google Women in Leadership Foundation Canada and look for the Montreal chapter to find out more about the work that I do. I also have a podcast called Stories Beyond Borders, and people can tune in to listen to some of the episodes that I have with some of my guests. And of course, there's also a YouTube channel by the same name as well called Urmi Hossain.
I was listening to your TED Talk interview yesterday. You have a really interesting array of guests on your podcast and on your YouTube channel.
I guess, yes, I guess that's how you can call them.
So, what would you consider your superpower as a woman who leads other women?
I do observe people. I have this, I would say, I guess I have this talent that I tend to observe people and I tend to analyze them. And when I can notice that someone has a talent, I do point it out. And so, like for instance, I was just telling this to my niece the other day. Like she likes to organize stuff and she likes to throw events. And I said, you know, that could be like an idea for you of becoming an event planner. And I said, you that could be a talent. It's something that you might want to like tap into, and you can use it as your side hustle. And there's so many people of her age who do all of these things. So I said, you know, that could be something to that you can work on. So I feel like I'm pretty good at identifying those trends and highlighting them when I see people.
That is a definite superpower. Women and men in general need to be reminded of what they're good at, and sometimes they don't notice. So, you pointing that out to them is probably a moment of self discovery for some and a moment of, oh, I really could do this for others. So, I know that you have lived in multiple countries and that you speak multiple languages. Can you take our listeners back to not necessarily the beginning, but where things kind of started for you, a little bit of the different countries influencing your journey and how you came to do the things that you do?
So we do have to go to the beginning, or we'll be omitting some parts of my story.
Sounds
I
good.
I was born and raised in Italy, and my parents are from Bangladesh. And from a very young age, we were always moving around a lot. I was born in Sicily, then moved to the north of Italy, went to the UK for a year, came back to Italy, and then moved to Canada. And I am someone who had many houses, many homes, I guess. I wish like other people I had one place to go back to, but I don't. I do consider Italy to be my home country, but I don't have an actual physical location over there. My parents live in the UK and I'm living in Canada. So at the beginning when you asked me, or tell the listeners where you're from, I was thinking like I was already having a difficulty because I wasn't
Hmm.
quite sure if you meant like if you meant where I'm living right now or if you were trying to say where I was born or where I grew up, because depending on the actual question, the answer may vary. And sometimes people ask me this question, where did you grow up? In which city? And even there, I'm struggling because I moved around. I was never in one location for a long time. I think the longest that stayed somewhere is probably Montreal right now that it's been 15 years. But even
Hmm.
in Italy, even though I've lived there the longest, I did not stay long enough in each of the cities where I have lived. I think I lived in three different cities, then I went to another country, came back. So I was always moving around, I would say. And the things that I do, I think I very much got influenced. I got influenced, I would say, by the different cultural exposure that I got, which allowed me to be more open-minded and to
Hmm.
see the world from a different perspective. Because I am considered a third culture kid, someone who, someone who's born in a country that is completely different than her parents' country and grew up in that specific country. And so I feel like I have that third vision, which is also, I would say, my superpower, my strength, because it allows me to see the world from a different perspective. And I think that because of that, I always kept that mind and always curious about doing different things. And so when I
Mm.
moved to Canada, I feel like I was able to be who I want to be and I can easily blend in because even Canada has a lot of people from different cultures, different exposures, people speaking different languages. And now I also find myself living in a city where I'm speaking two languages that are not mine to begin with, because I grew up speaking Italian and Bengali. But here in Montreal, I'm using both English and French. And I have done my university in English, but now I work in French. So I feel like I got many different exposures, things that really did not plan out, to be honest. Like never in my life I thought that I was going to, study in English and then eventually work in French. So I would say that's a gift and I don't take it for granted.
Wow. That's amazing that you can work in so many different languages. I moved a lot as a kid. We lived out east in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Hampshire. So a lot of moving around. And then in Michigan. So I can relate to the moving. And I think I had like, I don't know, 14 different homes before I graduated from high school. Um, but the language blows my mind. I just admire that in you and respect that greatly because to be able to translate four different languages in your head, amazing. Has that influenced your ability to work with more women because you can speak multiple languages?
I think it allowed me to connect better with other people rather than saying like women. I would say like everyone in general. I
Hmm.
think that we live in such a multicultural world that, it's very easy that you encounter someone that's not from your same country, but someone who shares maybe something similar to you, like maybe someone who have moved around, maybe someone who can speak more than one language. And that allowed me to connect better. And I think we all go through the same struggles. Maybe we try to fit in, we try to blend in, we try to be someone. And so I feel like that has allowed me to connect better with people. And I think it's all something that allows me also to have a diverse circle of friends because
Mm.
I do have friends who come from different countries. Like I have friends who come from Asia, I have friends who come from Latin America, I have friends who come from Africa, and I think that's the beauty of it that because I got exposed to so many different things, I'm able to really relate easily to other people who come from different cultures. In some way or another, we are sharing something that maybe someone who stayed in one particular country or in one particular city cannot completely share with me.
How did you go from your background in finance? Would you say finance was your typical job?
I still do that. It is my day-to-day job, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, to be honest. I always say there is me, like in my 9 to 5, and then as soon as that is done, I switch hat, and then there is me during my 5 to 9. And I always say
Hmm.
I the analogy that I like to make is, and I don't know if you watch Smallville, it's the story of Clark Kent becoming
A
Superman.
few times, yes.
Okay, I'm so glad that you did because I feel I can. So I'm really watching all the episodes. There are 10 seasons and I'm at season 9. And the more I watch it, the more I can relate to this character because there is him in the morning being a journalist, being a reporter, and then in the evening, he is being the superhero and saving people's life. And that's the analogy that I like to make about my life. Like I do like to see myself like me being the typical professional working in finance, which is something that I very much enjoy and very much love. But then in the evening, I switch hat and I'm becoming this superhero who's doing all this work towards the community and making an impact and influencing and inspire other people. And I do a lot of it through mentoring. I do that with women in leadership. I am part of different writing groups and we write articles to bring awareness of different things. And so I feel like I am a little bit like Superman, but I'm the female version of it. And so when I was doing finance, I would say that was my calling. You know, you just follow the traditional path of like going to university, getting a degree, and then you start working. But I also wanted more than that. I was like, I want to give back and I want to make an impact. And how can I do that? Where something brings me fulfillment, even though I might not get paid for it. And so a lot of the work that I do with women in leadership, building community, bringing women together, empowering women, it's something that does bring me a lot of fulfillment. And that is something that came in like later in life. I would say like when I was closer to my 30s, when I was 27, 28, I was finally thinking, okay, let's just see. Let's just do something a little bit different and see where that brings me. So
I kind of hear a theme of curiosity. How do you choose what activities you want to add on?
it's like you said, curiosity, but also long-term commitment. That's another theme because a lot of the things that I have done, it's the result of different trial and errors where I would try something and then I would see if this is something that I want to do like long term. And that's how I would make a decision. So that's where the Women in Leadership came. And I felt like it was aligned with what I wanted to do. It's based in Montreal. We can do things in Montreal. We can make an impact in Montreal. So I committed to that. And it's a long-term commitment. With Toastmaster, it was the same thing. I had a goal in mind, which is to deliver at TEDx. And back in the days, it was also like me, if I eventually become a professor, like I had different goals, but I was like, I'm just gonna try it and see how I feel about it. And that too became like a long-term commitment. I've been part of it since 2019.
Mm.
And then the writing session that I am part of right now, it's something that I just applied and I was like, I will see how that goes. And it's basically a writing session where we are a group of like 8 women, and we are writing articles where we bring awareness of menstruation. That's another way that I can make an impact. But it's only like 2 months, and I was like, okay, I can commit to that, and let's see how where that brings me. And I very much enjoy it. Like it's my first time being part of a writing session. I feel there's so much community, and I feel like all the energy in the room are so aligned, and you can share your own experience. But this is like, for instance, it's only for 2 months, and it was just for the sake because I wanted to try it and see if it's something that I might enjoy. And but will I go back next year? I'm not sure. I'm like, for instance, I'm not sure if this is something that I want to do, but I'm very mindful of how I dedicate my time towards things. Like I want to make sure that it's aligned with me and my message, and everything that I do, it's always to bring awareness, but also to do things that are in line with my values and what I believe in. Like women's empowerment is so important for me. Gender equality is very important for me. Female mentorship is very important to me. So some things that I feel like I'm called for, I keep going back to it and I make sure that I make it as a priority in my life. And other things like I let go of them. So for instance, I used to have a blog, the website after 4 years because I did not feel like it was anymore the right thing for me. And I had to so I feel like everything always comes back to me to the in the right moment in the right time. That's what I noticed. Yeah.
I'm hearing intention and purposely choosing what you want to spend your time on. Would you say that you have something going every night after work?
Yes.
And how do you keep yourself organized?
Yes, I always have something going on every night. So I do use my Google Calendar religiously. I cannot live without it because if I don't put it on the Google Calendar, chances are that I'm gonna forget it. And I do have a whiteboard attached to my fridge that I'm updating every week so that I remember what I have to do. But I do have something going on pretty much every evening. Every evening there's something going on in my life. Yes.
Tell us about your book journey.
So my book, it's called Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Interracial Struggle, and I have self-published it. And it was self-published in 2022, so it's been 4 years that it's been there in the market. And here's the funny story. I knew that I was going to write a book. I just didn't think it was going to come that early. I think one day I was having a conversation with a friend who's also a published author, and I said, I want to write a book, but I don't know how to start, where to start. And he started to give me all these like tips, and he was like, "Oh, you should read a book, this book called How to Write a Book in 30 Days." And that
Oh.
specific year, I was in Mexico, and I bought that book and I brought it with me, and I was like, I'm gonna read this, and then I will see what to do about it. So I was reading that book and then I came back from my vacation and I just sat down and every single day I was just writing, 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 writing. And it did take me 30 days. It actually did. And then after 30 days, I found someone on this freelancing website. I asked her if she could help me with editing, formatting, and I told her, look, I don't know anything. I'm just giving you the draft. You have to help me with the rest of it because it's me first time so publishing a book. And then she took 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, my book was self-published, and it felt a very big sense of accomplishment because I was like, yes, I knew I had this as a plan, but did I think it was going to happen in that moment? Not at all. I thought it was going to, like, I was going to self-publish a book like later on in my life. But since I saw that it was like not a hard process, I was like, no one is gonna stop me from doing this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So that's how I did it. Yeah.
That is very quick. So about 6 weeks.
That's right. That's right. It's my life. So I was like, it's easy.
What would you say is the target audience for your book?
It's pretty much for anyone, but I would say more for anyone who had exposure to different cultures and struggle with finding their cultural identity. Sometimes you are trying to fit in, but you're not sure where to fit in. And sometimes, the answers is there, but it's all about embracing your identity and you choosing who you want to be. And in the book, I do the same thing too, because I talk about my experience living in Italy, being born in Italy, but then my parents are from Bangladesh, and I felt like in a way I was living two lives because there was me outside of home where I was being the typical Italian girl, acting like an Italian person, and there was no one that looked like me. But then I would go back home and I had a little bit of a struggle because I felt like I was not fitting in because I just had so much of that Italian influence in me. But at home, like I grew up in a very traditional conservative South Asian household. So there was
Hmm.
a struggle in me. Like yeah, outside, I behave like an Italian person, but I was also super aware that I did not look like anyone else. No one looked like me. I was the odd one, I would say, like who looked like different from everyone else. Whereas at home, I look like everyone else, but I feel like mentally I did not share the same mentality. So there was a little bit of a struggle, and I talk about it in the book. So the book is really for those people who share the same struggles.
Where can people find your book?
It's on Amazon.
Okay. So we'll have to make sure I link it in the show notes. Sounds very interesting. Is there a point where you finally felt comfortable, or do you still feel, I know you feel like two people as in your day job and your evening work, but do you feel like you've finally found a place, or because you have so many different cultures that you can relate to, do you still feel like multiple people?
No, I would say I always feel myself no matter where I go. It took me a while to get to that point because I think I was always trying to fit in a role, but always lying to myself about who I truly was and maybe trying to also hide parts of my identity. Whereas now, even from a cultural point of view, I proudly show who I am. and I show it maybe through little things. Like I always make an example of the earrings that I wear, which are very like South Asian, or when I put the henna in my hand, like I don't forget my origins, and then do the same thing when I'm like with my Italian side as well. Like I do use a lot of hand gestures. There's a lot of things like there's a lot of Italian that comes out of me sometimes when I'm speaking, and I make sure that that shows. Like I always want to be authentic. So whether it is in my 9 to 5 or my 5 to 9, I'm always very true to myself, and I make sure that I'm not molding to fit in a role. Like I always want to be myself no matter what I am. And I want people to realize that I'm not going to change for someone. Yeah.
That's very powerful. What helped you get to that point?
I think it was time for sure.
Hmm.
Time and probably age. I think with age, you get a lot more confidence and also getting inspiration by other women and looking at other women do. I do follow a bunch of celebrities, and I do think there are a lot of like powerful and amazing celebrities out there that I very much look up to, and also talking more and more about this with trusted friends who
Mm.
actually believed in me and who encouraged me to pursue some of these things. Because I would say my biggest challenge was really accepting my cultural identity and maybe finding that balance in who I am, because I felt that was my weakness. I really felt that was my weakness because I was like, I can never answer the question about where I was from. Like if all of my high school friends if they talk about what their home is, they go back to the childhood home, whereas I don't have a childhood home, for instance. Like I don't know what to even consider. I always felt like that was my weakness, but then my friend made me realize that me being exposed to two cultures, it means that I can speak two languages. It means that I carry two traditions. It means that I can wear two different types of clothes. And I never saw it that way until she made me realize. And I think I had to come to that realization in order to gain the confidence to do the things that I do. Like I really had to get that understanding of who I was from that cultural point of view.
I'm glad you were able to come to that. And I think that I imagine you can tell me if I'm right. You've been able to help other people come to that conclusion for themselves as well.
I do that. I do that a lot with my mentoring work because I do mentor women of color, women who have exposures with different cultures, and maybe they're trying to navigate that. But I always remind them like never forget your origins, never omit any part of your story. Who you are today, it's because of all of these things. And I think it's important to always honor our story and our identity. They like I always make sure that people see our diversity as our strength, and it's not a weakness, and we should celebrate our diversity. There's so much richness that comes out of
Mm.
it.
Actually, richness was one of the words I was thinking of as you were describing a couple different times. I like that word a lot. Do you have a favorite 5 to 9? One of the things that just fills your heart and soul the most, makes you the happiest?
My favorite 5 to 9. No, I can't choose. I can't choose. I love all of them. Honestly, I love all of the things that I do because each one of them gives me something back. Like my meetings
Hmm.
with my ladies from Women in Leadership, those are fun. My mentoring sessions are fun. My Toastmasters is fun. No, I love all of them. Each one of them gives me something different.
Hi, we're taking a quick break during this fantastic interview to invite you to subscribe to the Highlight Her podcast newsletter. That's right, there's a newsletter that gets each episode delivered to your inbox, and soon there will be additional features as well. If you love supporting small businesses and hearing great success stories, you're going to want to subscribe. Link in show notes. Back to our interview. Well, it's time for a little bit of a lightning round where we go through a few questions quickly and you just say what pops into the top of your head.
I love this
So, tea, coffee, or hot chocolate? What's your favorite?
coffee.
That is the winning answer so far. How about early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
And is there a tool or app that you use the most in your 5 to 9 that helps you?
Google Calendar.
That's a good one. And what is your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
Either running outside or boxing.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like those answers. How long have you been doing those?
Running, it's something that I have started during the pandemic, and that's because we
Hmm.
couldn't go to the gym and I had to find a way to work out. And believe it or not, sometimes I would run in the winter. That's crazy. That's crazy. I would do that. So that's how I built that habit, and I still do. I still do run outside. And then boxing, it started in I think in 2022 or 2023. It started with Muay Thai, which is
Mm.
the um, the boxing that was that was originated in Thailand. It's a little bit different than the regular boxing, but it's quite similar because you still use the gloves and so forth, but you're using every part of your body. And then I do on a very regular basis boxing. I do it on a Saturday morning, and there's me waking up at 8, making sure that at 9 I leave home and do my boxing. I always say that's my non-negotiable moment. Like nothing can stop me from going to that boxing class. Yeah, I just love it so much. I love boxing.
That's fantastic. Do you have another entrepreneur or mentor that you'd like to highlight?
You know when they say like you are the average of have five people that you spend most of the time with. I don't think I ever
Yes.
realized it. Like I'm always surrounded by entrepreneurs, and I do think that's what I develop my entrepreneurial like mindset and so forth. I'm also very into initiatives and creative things. There is this celebrity that I follow. Have you ever watched Laguna Beach
I
on
don't think
MTV?
so.
It used to be air, I think, around 2004, and I used to watch it when I was a kid. And so there is this celebrity. Her name is Christine Cavallari, and she comes from that TV show. But what I love about her is that she's always creating something. She
Mm.
has a jewelry line. She also, I think, launched a skincare line. She also published like a cooking book, and I like that she's very like outgoing and like going after the things that she wants. So she is someone that I very much look up to. Like every time I look at her, I'm like, damn, she's so good. Like I was going to use a bad word, but I should not be using that. But she's honestly so great. Like she's such a good entrepreneur and businesswoman.
I'll have to look her up. She sounds inspiring.
She's pretty good.
So, Urmi, if someone wanted to start something similar to you, to become their own brand and have all these different things that you do, a book, and you're leading all these different things, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
They need to work on their personal brand, but to do
Mm.
that, they need to get clarity of the brand they want to represent. Because that sometimes when we think about branding, we think that it's about selling a product, but we ourselves can be a brand as well. And so we just have to be clear about the message that we want to deliver to the world. What do we want to talk about? And no matter what route we take, we always have to make sure that we're consistent with what we're saying because it has to be aligned with our message and with our image as well. So make sure that you have a clear idea on what you want to build your brand on.
If you were inspired by Urmi today and you would like to follow her and encourage her as she continues to grow and reach out, you can find her all over the internet. And I'm going to put it in the show notes for you. Be sure to look up her book on Amazon, and you can find her on YouTube and on her podcast. I'll make sure I put that all in the notes. Audience, thank you for listening to the Highlight Her podcast. If you love supporting women owned businesses, join the Highlight Her Network newsletter. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. When you receive the newsletter, you won't miss an episode. After all, you never know if her next story will be your next step.